everyone, welcome back to WCB Jazz Vinyl. So today is Sunday, January 25th, and there's this big winter weather system that is going across the country, and it's impacting a lot of people's ability to get out and about. And so I figured a lot of people are at home, including myself, although I'm in Atlanta, so we don't actually have any snow, but we do have some ice. So I thought I'd make a recent finds video. It's been a while since I've done anything like this, but yesterday I was in Wax and Facts, which is a local shop here in Atlanta, and I thought I had some great finds, a number of cheap finds too. So I'm going to just gonna like run down the list of things that I got in case it's of any interest to you out there as well. And all these actually still have the price tags on them, so I'll share that with you as well. So before we dive in, of course, as always, hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And if you'd like, I post pretty much every day on Instagram. You can go over there and follow me. I'm at what_can_brown. So I know a lot of times the expectation is that we're going to save the best for last. Well, guess what? We're gonna have the best up front. But I will close with another great find as well. Firstly, let me just kind of quickly say again. I went into Wax and Facts, which is in Atlanta. It's a great what I would call predominantly used record store. It's been in Atlanta for decades. Great staff. I always get something good. And the interesting thing about going into Wax and Facts is that I feel like it's one of those places that's like the last vestige of being able to get cheap records. So, and I think you'll see that as I walk through these. I don't think there was a single record that was more than $20. So let me start out with what I thought was the best one, and then we'll kind of take them through sequentially and probably do this a little bit sort of rapid fire. So what I found that I was most excited about was The Hawk Flies High by Coleman Hawkins. And I'm just seeing this now, actually. It actually has an Atlanta address on it, which is kind of cool. It looks like it was probably originally sold here because it says music something. It's hard to make out, but maybe later I'm going to look up this address and figure out maybe what the shop was. But again, The Hawk Flies High, I believe this was put out in 1956 on the Riverside Records label. There's a killer lineup on this. It's Idris Suleiman, J.J. Johnson, obviously Coleman Hawkins. You've got Hank Jones, Barry Galbraith, Oscar Pettiford, and Joe Jones. Actually, I was wrong about the 1956. It's actually 1957. One other kind of quick fact, sort of for those collectors out there, they actually pretty quickly reissued this record. And when they did, and one of the ways that you can tell that it's a second cover is you see these shadows here with the reissue cover. They didn't use the shadows. It really is just kind of this image here. So anyway, I was excited to see this. I was very surprised to see this for $6. And so I figured, surely this thing has to be wrecked. And is it in amazing shape? No, but it's certainly in playable shape. And and certainly the cover is in great shape as well. And check this out. I mentioned what makes up a first cover in terms of that shadow. Well, the first label is not the blue label that you may be, perhaps more familiar with, but this deep groove white label. So I was really surprised to find this in this shape. Like this side, actually the side that I just showed you happens to be much cleaner than the other. There's a long scratch that's across the other side, but again, it's playable and it sounds great. So I was couldn't even believe it. $6 for this. I would have expected it to be, even with the scratch, I would have expected, I don't know. I don't even know what I would expect it to be, but certainly more than that, maybe $50. Because I feel like in clean, in like great shape, this is over $100 record. So anyway, let's just kind of move on. I think I'm realizing I probably won't dwell on any of these too long because there's so many. So all right. So this next one up that I found is a original stereo prestige record. So it's on the Black and Silver label, the Black and Silver Fireworks label. And this is Battle Stations by Eddie Lockjaw Davis and Johnny Griffin. So these two musicians recorded a number of records for Prestige, I think as early as the late 50s and certainly into the 60s. This one happens to be from 1963. So if you haven't seen this, it's because, well, typically those like early to mid 60s Prestige sessions aren't, I don't know, they're just like not as desirable and not as collectible, but they're always great music. Just because this was a couple of years later doesn't mean they still weren't, playing their butts off. So in addition to Eddie Lockjaw and Johnny Griffin, we have Norman Simmons on piano, Victor Sproles on bass, and Ben Riley on drums. I've never owned this. And one thing I will say, because I mentioned it's on the Black and Silver Fireworks label, I want to call this out because I've made videos in the past that talk about avoiding that label at all costs. Well, not at all costs. The thing you want to verify with this Black and Silver label is whether it's pressed on recycled vinyl. And if you look at the sort of the run out here, if it's perfectly smooth and you don't see any kind of like textured kind of thing there, then it's likely not going to be on recycled vinyl. And this isn't, so it's great. Van Gelder stamp. And yeah, I'm excited to see this one. Funnily enough, it was actually in a Liberty Blue Note inner sleeve, which, like, listen, I haven't cleaned these yet or anything, so I'm gonna have to re-sleeve them and all that. Anyway, that one was $15. That was one of the more expensive ones that I got. All right, so next one up. This one was a cool find. So check this out. Albert Daly's Textures. So Albert Daly is phenomenal. This album is phenomenal. Go and preview it, and I think you're really going to like it. It's Albert Daly, Rufus Reed on bass. So Albert Daly, sorry, on piano. Rufus Reed on bass, Eddie Gladden on drums, and then Arthur Rames on tenor sax just on one of the tracks. So this is predominantly a trio record. This was produced by Michael Kuskuna for Muse Records in 1981. So it is a little bit later record, but I think you're going to really dig it. And, one of the cool things about this, too, is that Rudy Van Gelder was the engineer, and it was recorded at Rudy Van Gelder's studio. And so now I'm double checking. And yeah, it says mastered by Rudy Van Gelder in the runout. So, because later on, they wouldn't just have the Rudy Van Gelder or Van Gelder stamp, they would have mastered by Rudy Van Gelder. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool. I actually already have this, but $10 for how great this is. I'm gonna A/B it with my existing copy and put the other one probably on eBay. Incidentally, I have 25 or so records on eBay, including like a near mint minus copy of Wayne Shorter's All Seeing. No, not All Seeing Eye. It's Speak No Evil. So if you need a copy, it's original stereo and it has a review copy stamp on the back. Go to eBay. I'll put my link in the description. All right, next up, this one was really cool. I always see this record by Sonny Fortune or Fortune. I think it's Fortune. I don't know. And this one's called Waves of Dreams. Sorry, it's still in shrink, so it's gonna have. I've got the ring light. It's gonna have some reflection, so I apologize for that. But okay, this record was put out on the Horizon label, and listen to the lineup here. So obviously Sonny Fortune or whatever on soprano, alto, and flute. Charles Sullivan on trumpet, who we all know and love from Strata East and elsewhere. Michael Cochran on piano. Buster Williams on bass, Chip Lyle on drums, Angel or Angel Allende on congas, and then Clifford Coulter on synthesizer. And why I got this, because I've seen copies. This is not a particularly expensive record, I know, but this one is sealed, still sealed in the shrink wrap, and it has a demonstration not for sale stamp on the back, and it was $15. I looked it up on Discogs. That's probably about what it's worth. But, I figured this is an opportunity to get a sealed one, and it's promo. So I was excited to find that one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so check this out. Coming up, I have a 5-hour radio DJ set on WKCR at Columbia University. It's coming up on February 22nd, which is a Sunday from 2 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And the focus is on mainstream records. Now, most of my 5 hours is going to be on what I call the 300 series, which is like 1971 and later. It's mostly like super cool jazz and funk. But when I was at the store, cutting back to the purpose of this video, I found a number of mainstream records that I thought would just be cool, and they were cheap. And I figured, I can sprinkle this into my DJ set that I'm planning. So one of them is Maynard Ferguson's "Color Him Wild." So I didn't know anything about this record, but beforehand, it's from 1964. It was $5, so it was an easy one to get. Happens to be in great shape. I actually previewed his version of Green Dolphin Street It's actually not billed as on Green Dolphin Street, just Green Dolphin Street, and I thought it sounded really really good. So I don't have really any Maynard Ferguson that isn't on MRC from like the 50s. And I know his style and all that, but I figured, there's bound to be something on this record that I would enjoy putting on the radio for everyone. So there are a couple of other ones in here that are on mainstream as well, including this one. So this is "It's Time We Met" by Terry Gibbs. This one has Sal Nistico, Nat Pierce, Jake Hanna, Turk Van Lake, and Charlie Andrus on it. And what else to say about it? I don't know. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's still in shrink. And this one was $8. I don't know. Am I the biggest Terry Gibbs fan? Probably not really, but I do have one of his records on Impulse, and I've certainly listened to his old stuff as well. And again, I was looking for things to put on the radio in addition to like the 35 or 40 records that I have, again, that are kind of more in that like hard bop and funk space. So I figured I'd take the opportunity. All right, next up, folks are going to probably recognize this one. This is "Body and Soul" by Billie Holiday. And again, apologize for the glare. So on this record, there's a number of great folks. You've got Ben Webster, Harry Sweets Edison, Alvin Stoller, Larry Bunker is in here as well. I think he subs in on some of the tracks. This is a super cool record. It was $20, so the most expensive, I think tied for the most expensive out of all of these records. And what's really cool about it is it's actually original. Now, I will say, firstly, this is extremely dirty, and you'll see the spindle hole is like really sort of, I don't know, messed up. I don't know what somebody had done to it, if they like kind of twisted something on to keep the record down or what. But there's a few marks on it, but I figured it'd clean up, and for $20, and this is great music, and it's an original mono. Unless this was put out before on Shellac, I'm not sure. But in any event, it's first pressing on vinyl, I believe. We'll find out if maybe there's like some other random version of this, like on Clef or something. But moving on. Oh yeah, so this one is cool. So Monk Higgins. So when I DJ and I don't have to do a specific label, Monk Higgins is something that hits the turntable fairly often, and I did not actually recognize this one at all. I just wasn't aware of it. In fact, what is this one called? It's called Little Mama. So this is what Little Mama looks like, and it's in shrink. So again, there's going to be some glare, but the record is in great shape. And let's see, Wilton Felder's in the lineup. There are some vocals on here, but I actually previewed. I think I previewed one of the tracks from this, and it sounded really hip. And I thought, hey, this would be fun to add into my DJ set. So this one was $15. Let's see what else we got. So here's another Riverside record. I think this is an early reissue because it doesn't have a deep groove. I'd have to look that up. But this is Harlem Banjo, the Elmer Snowden Quartet. So in addition to Elmer Snowden, you've got Cliff Jackson, Tommy Bryant, and Jimmy Crawford. This was recorded in 1960, and I've seen this around, and I've never heard it. And don't get me wrong, it probably is an earlier style of jazz compared to what I typically listen to. But I'm such a fan of the Riverside label. Thought surely this is recorded well, and it was $7. And again, outside of the fact that it doesn't have a deep groove, it's still the black stereo label, so it's vintage anyway. And I figured I would give it a go. All right. Next one is another Prestige record. Let me take it out of the sleeve to hopefully reduce glare. Probably not. All right, so this was a $10 record. This is Etta Jones, From the Heart. And I think she does play with a larger orchestra that is conducted by Oliver Nelson here. So I actually don't know all the folks that were involved. But Rudy Van Gelder is on this, is the engineer on this. It was recorded in 1962. Like I said, $10. Great shape, deep groove. This is pretty dirty, so I don't feel too bad about having my fingers on it because I'm going to have to clean it. But yeah. Fireworks label, Van Gelder stamp, all that. And I like Etta Jones, and her stuff on Prestige is typically not that expensive. This may even be about what the market value is for this record, because people for some reason don't buy the female vocalists on Prestige as much, and I don't know why, because I think there's some really good stuff. Next up is a record that I'd never seen before. This was $10, and it's by Pete Jolly. And I don't have really very much Pete Jolly at all, except for that one with the leaf on it that was reissued recently. So this is Pete Jolly Duo, Trio, Quartet. And so those are the formats. And the lineup, I guess across those formats includes Pete Jolly on piano, Buddy Clark on bass, Art Madigan and Mel Lewis on drums, and then Bill Perkins on tenor sax. And like I said, I don't know anything about this, but I thought it was a, fun cover, if not also overtly 50s. Very much something that RCA Victor would have as a cover. But I thought it would be worthwhile. I'll clean it up and see if it sounds any good. All right. I've got another vocalist, and this is also one I didn't even preview it in the store. So this is a complete blind buy, no idea what it sounds like, but it's by Lurleen Hunter, and it is called Blue and Sentimental. So you might ask, why would I blind buy this? Well, one, it's $10, so it's an easy blind buy. Another reason is because it's the Plum label. If I can take this out and show it to you, geez. So the Plum label with the white fan, right? Great shape. It's got some hairlines, but it'll play nicely. What I noticed though is a couple of things. One is the engineer is Tom Dowd, and he is excellent and did a lot of work for Atlantic Records. And another is that the arranger conductor is Jimmy Jeffrey, and I really like his work for Atlantic, and I thought it was cool that he was involved with this. And I recognized some of the folks that were in the lineup supporting Lurleen Hunter, including Harry Edison, Bud Freeman, Jimmy Jones, Jim Hall, George DeVivier, Don Lamond. So yeah, I figured might as well. And honestly, Atlantic is one of those labels that sometimes they sort of continue to surprise me, because I think that I know everything that they put out, and then I come across something like this, and I'm like, oh, I've never seen that before in my life. All right, back to mainstream. In fact, for the next two. So this is Miss Morgana King. Again, on Mainstream Records. This is going to be probably from like 1964 or so. Here, I'll show it to you again. Arranged and conducted by Tori Zito. And, it was a cheap one. It was $4. They actually had two copies of this. So I was like choosing between the two, and this one was in a little bit better shape. It's in stereo. I like Morgana King. I think that I know that she's not really getting the reissue attention, and maybe folks don't get as excited by her, but I think she had a fabulous voice, and I think there's some really good stuff. And so this is with a larger group, but I mentioned well, at least I alluded to the fact that there's this orchestra that's conducted by Tori Zito. And actually looking across it, I'm trying to think if there's anybody other than Mel Lewis that I really recognize. Not really. I mean, probably a lot of sort of more studio folks, but it's kind of what you'd expect for that type of record. So another one that was $4 is her album With a Taste of Honey, and this was another one they actually had two copies of, and grabbed this one. So I'll pick something out from it and include it in that 5-hour radio set. And I've never heard these records. Any of these mainstream records. So thought it'd be fun. All right. Next one up. This one kind of is a little bit of like a sort of a personal pick, or more personal to me. So this is Flute Fraternity. Now I know flute tends to scare people away, sometimes rightly so, but this is Herbie Mann. Buddy Collette. It's so funny. I'm looking at the back and it's messing me up. It says Bobby Collette on the back, but obviously it goes by Buddy Collette. Jimmy Rowles on piano, Buddy Clark on bass, and then Mel Lewis on drums. So the reason why I grabbed this is because this was originally put out on Mode Records. And you all know that I have a record label, and our first release was on Mode. So I've been listening to this and some of the others in the Mode format, and I thought it would be fun, especially for $5, to get the Interlude version. So Interlude actually acquired a number of the tapes and would reissue them. the mode records with completely different covers, sometimes with different titles, and yeah, I just thought it would be fun to hear this, to hear the interlude version, just for my own knowledge, like to find out, is it different. Kind of wish it was a stereo, but you know, it was the mono one. Okay, we're getting down to the last couple here. So this is the Junior Mance Trio, and this is Big Chief! Exclamation point. So Junior Mance, Jimmy Rouser, and Paul Gussman on drums, originally recorded in 1961, and this is recorded or put on the Riverside subsidiary Jazzland. This is one of those funny ones that whenever I come across a copy, it is a reissue. It's like not an OJC, but but still like an 80s reissue. And this was not. This is an original on Jazzland, on the sort of the orange, right, the bright sort of orange label. And you know, $10. I figured I have a lot of Jazzland records and I've never owned this because I've never found an original, and I never really like kind of prioritized finding it online. So, in any event, I'm excited to hear this one. We've got two more. All right, so this is one that I already have. Most of these, besides one of them, thanks so far, right? Where I said, oh, the Albert Daly, I said I'm going to sort of upgrade, perhaps. This is another one of those that I already have a copy of, but it was only $10, and I'm a big Anita Oday fan. This one's called "Pick Yourself Up" with Anita Oday. On Verve Records, as you can see, this is an original pressing, and I think she's a fabulous singer. I love all her stuff, her early stuff, especially on Verve, and you know, I'm just a little bit of a sucker too for female vocalists of this time period. I think you know, I think there's a number of vocalists that, I don't know, they just I don't know, they're like not as collectible, they're not as like appreciated these days, and people don't really listen to their stuff anymore. And in some ways, part of the fun of collecting is finding something and feeling like it's yours a little bit. And with me and Chris Connor, I'm always talking about Chris Connor and how much I love her music. And I feel like to some degree, I think more people probably know Anita Oday versus Chris Connor, but I feel like some sort of connection a little bit to Anita Oday's music. All right, so the last one that I have for you from this somewhat large haul. And by the way, the total for all of these together was just over $200. It's like $200.38 with tax for all of these records. So I don't know. I mean, I thought we'll see what happens as I you know, sit with these for a little while and experience them and figure out what I like and what I don't, perhaps. But the last one I mentioned, the last one was going to be a fun one as well, and this is fun. So this is $20, and this is Gil Scott-Heron and Brian Jackson. So this was a Arista Records release, 1976. It is an original. It as you can see, it has the gatefold, and this was actually a live performance. So not a studio album, live performance, but a pretty well-known live performance. Taking a quick look to see if there's anything I should pull out specifically. I mean, one thing that I would say about this, again, as I'm kind of looking at this for the first time, one thing that I would say about this is that there's a live version of The Bottle here, which is a really recognizable, really, you know, great tune, kind of a, you know, sort of a dance floor tune, if you will. So it's kind of fun, I think, to have a live version of that. And otherwise, I think there's a bunch of great music from Gil Scott-Heron that I'm not necessarily as familiar with, because I do have a couple of his records, but I'm not that well versed with his music. And so for some of these tracks, this may be the first time that I can hear them. But yeah, I'm excited. And this is one of those records that I feel like goes for quite a bit more, maybe double or maybe triple what this price is. Again, $20. So it just felt like it was a great opportunity for me to pick it up. So those are the records that I got yesterday. And because it's icy out there, probably going to spend the rest of the afternoon cleaning, spinning some of these, and enjoying them. So hope this was some, you know, good entertainment for those of you who might still be stuck at home with the snow falling, or maybe getting ready to watch some football. And yeah, I guess I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.